Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Steve. This is Wilmer Woodworks. I'm going to go through showing you how to make some more Christmas decor and ornaments. I use both terms because what I'm making today you can really turn into either or. So I've become fascinated with these moving pieces here. So you'll see this has a little dial. You move the dial and it moves the little counter inside. So I'll show you how I make this piece here. Basically, it is 3 layers. So the top layer is just the engraving with a little cutout window. The center, the inner core, is the dial with a little hand. And then the back layer is just the cutout. So this is the size of an ornament. This is about 3.5 inches across. And you can hang it on the tree, but for little hands, you want something a little bit bigger. So that is why I also upsized. Same exact ornament, same exact file. See the top piece? It's exactly the same, but I did some more embellishments. So we have the candy cane with a little ribbon. I used some paint pens, which is a great alternative to stains. And this has very easy adjustment for the 24-day. Now you can make this 24, you can make it 12. If you did make it 12, you can make this window a little bit bigger because you're only counting down a little bit more. But I will show you how I make this and how I lay everything out. And yeah, so we'll go right over to LightBurn again, as always with all of our designs. I am making this using Canva sample clip arts and LightBurn. So we'll get over to the software, we'll design it up, and then I'll show you how I cut it and how I maximize the cuts per sheet. And then for a limited time, I will offer one version of these. I think I'm going to offer the Santa Claus for free, maybe for the weekend. And then this will be, of course, an upper paid version you could get. But with the paid version, I don't know if you guys know, but I do have memberships now on my website. I do have memberships now on YouTube. So at the very bottom level is the membership. It's $1.99. If you subscribe to that and join as a membership, that's like a little buy me a coffee kind of thing. So it's $1.99. After YouTube takes their cut, I end up with a little over $1. Gives you little icons that you could put on the comments and the status and little badges that'll show up. The next one up is $4.99. And at that level, I will give you discounts to awesome designs like this. So for $4.99 for the entire month, you'll get limited members only discounts to some of my better files. Mostly all the files that I do offer that have always been paid. So I will have more designs weekly, pretty much. I'm trying to get them batched out as quick as I can, but that will give you access to some of these designs at a very steep discount or even possibly free. So if you haven't checked out those yet, I would appreciate if you go over there and check those out. And if you want to support the channel, by all means, give us a membership join. But enough of that. Let's go over to the software and get this ornament made. The first thing we're going to do is go over to Canva, and we're going to just create a simple flyer just to get our graphics. So this flyer doesn't have to be any specific size because we're just going to get some elements so we can make our calendar. So we'll go first over to the elements because we do not need a design. We just need to use some elements. And we're going to type in some searches here. So let's see, off of the previous, we did days until Christmas. All right, so looking at the graphics here, we'll just choose a few graphics. So this is the one with the Santa head that I used already. So we can use this one again. Notice how it's red. It doesn't matter if it's red or if it's black or any other green or any other color. We'll just take a couple of variations of this. So this will be what we'll use. And we'll also need some other elements. So I put a snowflake on the handle of the counter. So let's see what we can choose here. Alright, this one looks okay. We could just do a holly leaf. We can do this one as well. And then we'll need a main image in the center. I did one with a Santa head and one with the candy canes. Let's do a Christmas gift. Let's see if they have a nice gift box that maybe we can use. This one might be good. Let's see what other options we might have. All right, that gives us a lot of great choices to work with. So we're going to call this Christmas Countdown. We're going to save this file with a transparent background. So we go to download. Now I'm going to change this from PNG to SVG because it's easier to work with. And we're going to go with transparent background. I'll download this and then we will open up LightBurn and start making our design. With LightBurn open and a new file to work in, we're going to start by opening our images and see which images work best for us. Actually, all of these images pretty much came through beautifully. So now it's just personal preference on which ones we want to use. So for right now I know they all are going to work, I'm just going to remove those and we're going to start by making the actual ornament. So holding shift will give us a circle. And let me get the other ornament so we can take some measurements off of that because I'm not 100% sure on the size that I increased that circle to. Okay, so larger size, which I think I'll make another larger size, is 8.5 inches across. So we're going to start with an 8.5 inch circle. 0.5. Okay, so I usually cut these on 12 by 12 pieces of basswood or birch plywood. So you will need one piece per layer. You will have some extra scrap left over that you can use for the other ornaments or embellishments on this ornament, but you will need at least one sheet per layer. We'll start by making the center. So the center is pretty much going to be very straightforward. Now this size does not matter too much on what exact size it is. It does have to be a circle. So we'll go with 1.5 by 1.5 inch. And then this circle here, we're going to change this to a tool line because a tool line will not actually be cut. It's more of like a guideline. So we're going to take this and we may have to resize this down, but for right now, let's select all three of these circles and we're going to do a center align. This way everything is right where it needs to be. Okay, and we're going to make sure we do not resize anything because it'll affect everything else in our design. So simply, what we're going to do is we're going to put all of the days that we're counting. So let me change this font so it's easier to read. So we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, and we're going to count this all the way out. Okay, so now we have our days, and I did not do any sort of double spacing or anything like that. And you can go through, choose any font that you like. I just want to find something that is, yeah, maybe we'll just do this because it's a nice thick font. And we're going to select this text, and we're going to hold Control, and we're going to select our guideline. Now with both open, we're going to right click and we're going to apply to a path. And that's it. So now with just the numbers selected, we can adjust our horizontal spacing. So if we bump that out, and that should be good. So now you can see everything is pretty much, but these numbers are a little close to the edge of our ornament. So we're going to select our guideline, holding Control, and we're just going to make that a little bit smaller. So when that went smaller, see how our 21 kind of stops at 21? So now we want to adjust our horizontal spacing again, increase that out. The only last thing we need to do, and you can adjust, as long as you keep clicking on the guideline, you can hold Control. Actually, you don't even need to hold Control, but that'll just give you, it'll jump a little bit easier. So that'll give you an idea of how those numbers will look. And now what I'm going to want to do is hold that back layer and hit Control D to duplicate. I'm going to change that layer. And now I'm on layer 1, which is just another different layer than the center layer. And now I'm going to create the box that you can view the numbers out of. So we're just going to put a simple box. There should be a window here that says property, shape property. So this wasn't, so if you go to window and you click on that, that'll show you the shape properties. And this is the shape that we have selected. And we just want to add a small little radius to that. So let's try 125, 125. rounds it and eases it just a little bit. But the one thing I do want to do is I will select the circle. I'm going to lock this shape just for a second. Holding control, I'm going to select my inner shape. And now I do want to make sure that this is vertically aligned. See how that moves over there? And that just means that when I click on here and I rotate, you know, it will be in. You do want to look though, see how 24, and then as soon as you go to 1 and 2, you're kind of catching those other digits. So I want to make sure that now I select this and I just move this in just a little bit. So I'll move that, we'll move that, and then we'll rotate just to make sure that our 24 fits. Now let's check our 1. It's close. You can almost get it in there. 3, yeah, the rest of these are to be okay, but that 1 is giving us a little bit of an issue. So let's make it just a little bit smaller, and we have room to do that. So you want to make sure that you only select this box, and we're just going to drag this just a little bit more. Okay, and then we want our locked shape and our cutout. Since we've done a few resizing, we just want to make sure that that is lined up. And now let's check our number 1. That is good. I can live with that. Okay, so now pretty much we have our 2 layers done to a point. Functionally, this will work, but we want to beautify this a little bit. So I am going to unlock this. I'm going to grab that, and then I'm just going to move these 2 elements over. And I'm going to make sure I group these together. So now that they're grouped, whenever I grab this, I will grab the entire thing, and I can move that away. Now I am just going to select, and I'm just going to move the 24 to the top. Perfect. Now I'm going to select and group this. Okay, so the only thing left we need to do to this layer is put our little handle on it. This layer, we need to put our Days Until Christmas text and our little image, and then we'll need a rear layer. So now that we actually have that done, let's do this top down. So let's import our image again, move this over. Now let's just continue to use this one. This one works well, it looks good, and I know it engraves good. So we'll delete this, and we have the option to either clean up package or another ornament. Now an ornament on an ornament, well, that would look a little weird. Let's see how much is involved on cleaning this one up. Okay, looks like that was the winner. So let's delete this top one. Delete this ornament as well. Okay, so we will put this up top. We will get it as close as we can, and we'll select, and then we'll center it. And this text is layer, where did it put it? Layer 10. So we'll do that layer as a fill. Okay, so now we're just going to clean up the ornament. A little present right there. So since we exported this as an SVG, we do have a little bit of cleanup to do with these ribbon and the package. So I'm going to actually separate these as 2 different items and then group them all together so we can engrave on the ornament on the top of the top layer, and then we'll stencil out so we can glue a little pop out to give it a little bit of dimension. So these extra color layers we don't need. And you can apply this, the way I'm doing this, to pretty much any SVG that you export from Canva if you do need to clean it up. Oops. So we're going to select this and this. I'm going to move the, oops, and this one. We're just going to move this out of the way. Now we're left with the box. Now on this box, we don't need any of these inner lines, so we're going to select and delete these. Okay, that leaves us with the, now all I'm going to do is merge all of these together by using our Boolean union. And then that's going to clean up all of our designs here. And you do just have to watch to make sure that you do grab, once you're building these out, so everything does group together the way that you want it. Once we're going to take our time just going through here and selecting everything that we want the unions to be, and just making sure that everything is connecting the way we want them to. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Once we paint that and that is on top, that'll look really good. We just need to do it on this one. So what we're going to do is this will be a cut. All right, so we duplicate this, move that over, ungroup, and delete. What we do is we ungroup this. We just duplicate that very top layer and move this over. And we'll group this back together. And then what we want to do is we ungroup this. So on this layer here, we just want to duplicate the entire layer. So our present will be engraved once and then cut once. Now with that grouped, we're going to select the entire ornament or counter. And we're going to do a vertical alignment. This way everything is in the center. And that's pretty much it. So we can group this together now. Actually, before we group it together, let's figure it out. So the blue is a cut line. The 10 is a fill line. And we haven't used 4 yet. So we're going to do 4 is going to be a line, but that is going to just be an engraving line. So that's going to have less power. And then this will be a cut. And it will all make sense once we cut this out, and then you'll have all of these extra pieces. So this will be a wire frame that will go on top of that. This will be etched on the ornament. This will be just the frame that gets put on the backer piece. And then that'll give us our nice layered effect. Group these together and we're going to call these layer 2. So this layer is essentially done as well. So let's move this out of the way. We can finish this ornament here. Bring this back in, and with this back, I'm going to add a little piece on top. And what layer are we on here? We're number 2, so we'll call that layer 2. And we just want this to be pretty high and pretty stout, because this is where we're going to hang the ornament from. But we're also going to have the circle on top. But on top of the circle, we're going to have to make room for a design. So let's see, where are we at? So for that top circle, we want it to be about 1.5 inches. So that would leave about 1/2 inch for the cutout. We'll make this with 0.5. We turn this off because we do want this to come out a little bit. And then we're going to top this with a circle. This top is about 1 inch. Well, maybe let's make that 1.5 inches. Okay. We want this circle. Okay. Now we just select and we'll do a little vertical alignment. We don't want it to protrude too far, so let's select this guy and we'll just bring him down right about there. It looks good. Okay, and we did our vertical, and now we just need to group it together. So we're going to take this and this, weld that together, group that together. Oh, actually, before we do that, we can use the holly. Oh, let's use the holly leaf instead of the snowflake. Okay, we're to group this to lock this shape. Select this shape, center it, and select it. Holding control, move it down. Perfect. So now we hit select. Actually, now we unlock this, and we can do our grouping. So we'll do the Boolean union, select, to the Boolean union. Perfect. But now we know at least that this holly leaf is centered on that little item or that little tab, and then we'll just group this together. So we're going to have that as an outline because we are going to fill that in with our paint pens. Now with the Boolean union on our little selector, with our engraving, with our numbers, so we have the numbers. The cut is on line 2, the engraving for the tag is on line 25, and the engraving for the words is on 6. So now with everything, we'll select it and we'll group it together, and let's just check that to make sure everything looks good. Now the last thing we need to do is make our back layer. So to make our back layer, I'm going to duplicate this because this is the size of our ornament. I'm going to select and ungroup because we do not need a window or a tag. That's not necessary. Now the way that I align these, we can't align this on center anymore because if we did, it would be off-centered. So the best way I've found is to align it to one side and then align it to the bottom. And then that'll put this circle exactly where the other circle is. So we need a hanging tag right now. We want to make sure that the hanging tag is higher than the selector. We don't want it to interfere with however you do hang it to the wall. So I'm going to start by just making that hang tag. Now we're going to go to layer 7 because I don't think we've used that yet. And then we just want to make sure that this is going to be tall enough where it won't interfere and wide enough where it'll be fine as well. So that's good. Now the shape properties, we're going to add a little bit of a radius, so 125, and that gives it just a little bit of a rounded edge. And now we'll come back with a circle, and we want this to be a square or a symmetrical circle. So we'll just do that, and then I'll select this, this, and this, and we're going to do a vertical alignment. And on this one, we're going to do an offset. So we can do pretty much any size you want here, however wide you want that hook to be. So I want it to be a decent size. We'll go a little bit larger than a 1/4 inch, so we don't have any worries about it snapping or breaking or anything. So now I'm going to weld these, and then I'm going to join these, so we just end up with that. And now I'm going to select the inner circle. You can see it's right here, and then I'm going to join that, and that ornament. So it looks a little odd right there, so why don't we improve that a bit? So we can just go through and let's just add in one more element. So nobody says that this has to be one stacked layer. Let's see what it looks like with 2. If we go with 2 stacked layers, because you've seen there's little baubles with 2 stack layers. Let's try to hit that somewhere in the center, and we'll do a little bit more of a rounding on this one. So there is our stacked design. So this will be our back plate, and there's our 3 ornaments. So I am going to send these over to the machine one at a time, and we will get our cuts done, and we will be able to paint and glue all this together. I'll prepare this file, and I'll get this over to the machine right now. Bring that out. Now that we have everything cut, we're just going to need a couple of things. So to start, we have a little bit of burning on these. So the first thing I like to do is just use standard alcohol and a paper towel. A little bit on that. Sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. Now make sure you do keep the center of that as well, because you will need that. Sometimes if that doesn't come off, just 220 sandpaper. All right, there we go. So now we have all of our pieces as well. Let's grab that center piece. So basically we're going to glue this down, and then this will slide around that. So we do like to make sure that that's got a little bit to move. And if not, again, we just take our 220 sandpaper and we just pour that a little bit. I'm just turning this as I'm sanding that, and that'll give us perfect with just a little bit of room there. So now with that done, I'm going to, oh, and you get, this is the cage for the present, which will go right there. This is the first one when you break those out, you have to make sure that you're very careful with those. But you can always redo them. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stain these. So this one I want a really light stain, and what I've found that I like as my light option is golden oak. Now these are just birch ply, but when you do stain it, it really does bring the colors out, and the grain pattern really looks great. So I am just going to put a quick stain on this. And we're going to go back too, and we're going to clean that up with, or highlight that, I should say, with our paint pen. So just with a little bit of stain on the rag, we're just going to make sure that we get it evenly covered all the way around. It doesn't have to be too dark, just enough to give it a nice finish. We don't have to worry about the edges or the back either, because the back will be in that, but you do have to worry about the back of this top piece. So right here, I'll just go a little bit down on that and then wipe that off. And what you could do too is when you're designing this, with my one example, what I did was I actually cut this circle out twice and just made that extra handle a little bit thicker up top. And that's just, you can do that. All right, so this is the center dial. I'll put this away. And now I will get my darker color. And what I like to use for my darker color is just this English chestnut. Now this is an oil-based, but it's a new formula that they have. that does allow for easy cleanup with water, which is great because if you've ever used oil stains before, man, they are messy. Again, this is just going to be a wipe on. So this is my backer piece. And again, this is just the same birch, but it gives you such a nice contrast when you put those two together. And so we can see the grain pattern is going to go this way. So I'm not going to go against the grain. I'm going to go with the grain. And again, this is my back, but it will be the front. So I do want to make sure that this top piece here, at least over here, does get some stain because that will be seen from either side. Just go a little farther down, and that's all we need on that one. So we'll let that dry. And now this one, we do need one side because this you will only ever see side. But I like to get in all that engraving. A few minutes to dry. Perfect. All right, so we'll clean this up, give this a few minutes to dry, and then when that's dry, we will go in and get some more detail put on that. Now that our stain has dried, we get to do a little coloring. Stain this one first, so we'll color this one first. So with these pens, you get 80 colors. Some of them are metallic, some of them are standard, and it is really just coloring it in. So I'm just going to be a little careful here because I don't want to color too much. I just want it to be a nice little highlight. All right, I'll get our green out. That's a nice little pastel color. You just have to go slow and take your time, but it really will give you a great effect. So I will put one of these designs, I'm not sure if it'll be the small one or one of these big ones, on the website. I do encourage you to subscribe to my website newsletter, which currently doesn't exist, but I will with Small Business Saturday coming up. I will make sure I get some discounts out, coupon codes, once I can figure that all out. Be sure to tune in tonight because Nick and I will have a Shop Shenanigans Alive going on. We will talk about our adventures at the craft show. It is not a trade show, it is a craft show. Some of the things we've learned, and I'm sure we will work on a project or two and take any Q&A and see how the night progresses. But let me know in the comments, what questions you guys, what projects, or if you've seen something that you'd like me to show you how, just feel free to email me. I put my email address on pretty much every single video that I have, along with all of my other social avenues. So I do have a Facebook page. I've got of course, the YouTube. I'm on Instagram. Every other thing you can think of. So now this is just a standard acrylic paint pen set that I got off of Amazon. I will put the link in the description for all of the supplies that I'm using, including the wood and the machine, in case you're interested in picking up exactly what equipment I am using so you can get the same results. What I have noticed though is a lot of people that have found my videos have usually already had their laser engraver. So I'm also curious about that. If you already have a laser engraver, let me know what machine and how long you've had it and how it's working out for you. Because I know Nick is very interested in picking up a machine. He's been eyeballing the I think it's F1 Ultra, the one that has the fiber and the diode. So I am curious about that because it seems like it would run very quickly. And you could do metal, I think, and glass. And those are both two materials that we haven't really messed around with in any of our videos or products yet. It reminds me of those adult coloring books that they came out with a few years ago. You don't have to think about anything. You just kind of turn your brain off a little while and you color in the lines. Well, I do appreciate everybody tuning in. And if you like what you see and you enjoy the tutorials and the files that I do offer, thank you. It is greatly appreciated. But if you would, feel free to subscribe. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to subscribe to all. And that is just a little extra It allows you to, if you turn that bell on, you'll get notified anytime new videos come out. So you'll be able to see them before anybody else just like logs on and sees them in their feed. Especially since recently I am doing these free designs only for a limited time. I know Nick, he's, oops, no, I want to get that off there. He will probably recommend that I only give a limited volume, like amount. But for right now, we won't rock the boat too much with the holidays. I know it's tight on everybody, so we'll just keep it free for a little bit of time. But it does give you that time because I know this design I think will be very popular. So the time frame on this design being free will be much shorter than all of the other designs. Just because with Christmas coming up, I mean, like I said, I'm tight, but so am I. So I never do this as a career path, but if it can supplement some of my income, I'm all for it. Okay, so now we'll go that. So we're going to make this outline white instead of black because I don't think anybody wants to really see something that's too dark. We'll just go around, fill all this in with the white. And this is where these tweezers come in handy too. You know, I can hold that down without worry about getting fingerprints on anything. You know what? Actually, I think I might. Yeah, I think that'll be the best. With everything painted with our paint pens, it is time for some assembly. And to do that, I'm going to use, of course, my super glue gel. Now, you got to be careful with this and have it go pretty sparingly on this. So what I like to do is grab my piece, turn it over. I'll just put a couple little daubs. What I've found is once you start this super glue moving, it starts moving pretty quick. And you don't want it to get too messy on here because it is so thin. Just need it to grab in a few different places. Okay, now with this lined up, we don't need to clamp this. But if you felt that you had to, I wouldn't use anything too terribly tight or large. Simple clothespins, you can get those at the dollar store. That should be sufficient, but just right about now, that's already starting to set up, so we've got nothing to worry about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to line up where these little dollops need to go. So I'll just turn this upside down, put a couple little marks, and push that right through. I want to make sure too that I don't super glue it to my guide piece. Okay, so that one's lined up. Now it's time to do the other side. So again, I'm just going to put that down on there. That gives me that little bit of a guide. Grab it with my tweezers. When you're doing anything with these small parts, can't get in there with my hands because I'll end up super gluing my fingers to this thing. But these tweezers really do work well. Push that down. Now I want to make sure that I take this piece out. And there we go. Now we have our ribbon. So the next piece here is the center of our ribbon. Not even going to attempt to grab that with my hands. A couple little dollops of glue. And this is just aligning with those outside edges. And if you do get a little bit of glue on the inside, what I've noticed is you could just push that down. You just flatten them out so you don't see the little beads, and that's usually good enough. All right, so now we'll add this back on top of that. A couple little drops. And now for our face of our packaging, just go around. Again, not too crazy, just enough drops to keep it secure. And this is wall decor, so really it shouldn't be moved around or messed with too much. Okay, now we still have our there, so we just have to line this up. Okay, so we just smooth out the little bubbles. Okay, now we'll figure out where it needs to go. Move that up a little bit. That should be good right about there. Okay, so now we just place. Okay, so now we got a little 3D effect on that. But now all we have to do is assemble all of our pieces. Start with our back and our turn. And these are the same size circles, so we can line those up pretty well. So I just want to make sure I get a nice dab of glue, always toward the really center. I don't want this to squeeze out at all. We put our piece in there. That will move around a little bit, but we want to make sure that this lines up. Perfect. Now what I like to do is while that's still setting up, I'm put this right on here again. I'm gonna move that wheel, and then we're gonna set this right on top. Okay, so these 3 circles now, we just want to push right here in the center, and we'll hold it for about 30 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. All right, guys, there you go. That's the quick process of making this ornament or wall decor that counts down the days to Christmas. So I will include one of the designs. I'm not sure which one yet, if it's going to be Santa Claus, the candy canes, or most recent, the one that we did together, the package. So the Christmas present with the holly, the candy canes, or the Santa Claus. So I will put one of these versions on the site for free. The other 2 will be a purchase file. And well, pretty much you guys know how to make this yourself, but you can count down from either count down or up. But that is how you make a Christmas countdown. Until next time, I appreciate you guys watching. If you like I said, feel free to subscribe. And until next time, my name is Steve, and this is Wilmer Woodworks.